Hi my people, hi Africa, my name is Darren Bartlett. I love discussing African affairs. Now, yesterday, Tanzania went to the polls. Tanzanians went to express themselves in terms of choosing who will lead them as the next president. Some people voted, some didn't. And it was a shocker that in East Africa, a country we all knew as peaceful people, because you rarely hear that Tanzanians have actually gone on the streets to protest. Of course, we've had these things where Lusu was arrested, a couple of people were arrested on a rally. Those kind of, minute kind of protests from opposition and things like that. However, this time, most Tanzanians, I may exaggerate that, but let me say some Tanzanians didn't vote. They chose to go on a protest, and we've seen property destroyed, so sad, cars burned, like cars for people who belong to the ruling party. We've seen what happened to the Tanzanian Revenue Authority officers, destroyed. And I think this is the first time I'm seeing a protest against a president, and worse, on a day where they are supposed to be choosing who leads them next. Now, we all know that some of the reasons that have been raised as to why the protests are happening is because they felt like this was going to be more of a coronation ceremony for Suluhu running in a race, because some opposition members were denied, actually strong opposition members were denied an opportunity to run in an election, including Lusu. So it is a tricky one, and by the end of the day, police had issued a curfew of 6 p.m. that everyone must be in the house or at home by 6 p.m. Imagine a curfew on a voting day, on a day that people express themselves. Usually, you'll find issues of delayed votings because of materials didn't arrive, and then counting goes on up to late in the night. Now, I don't know how that turned out to be, but it's a common practice in most parts of Africa, where voting can go till late and the counting goes actually till late. So if there is curfew for 6 p.m., then what happened to the polling stations where materials probably arrived late and voting started late, because then the hours of voting usually are extended? And so the tricky thing about this Tanzanian election is that when it comes to the presidential election, there's no petition. Once the Electoral Commission announces the winner of the election, you cannot petition it in any court on the land. That's a tricky one. But let's see what comes out of Tanzania. Is this protest going to continue, or is it going to be suppressed? Because live blitz were already going out, people being, police came out, the military also came out to make sure that the protests don't go beyond what we experienced yesterday. And in some parts of Tanzania, some people are able actually to access internet, others are not able to access internet. Probably those who have VPN, but yeah, from the reports that I saw is that internet was shut down. So it's not what I expected out of Tanzania. However, I expected that there would be a candidate who would win, and most likely it would be Samia Suluhu. That one, I at least I knew that she would win this election, but I didn't see it that this would ever happen in Tanzania, where people protest on a voting day, refuse to vote, go on the streets. That can be a very chaotic election, and you would love to see what the observers, the independent or the body of independent election observers will say, because usually across the continent they like putting the line free and fair election, non-violent election. Will these terms be applied this time round? My name is Darren Bartlett. I will see you in the next one.